Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Lara, or Lara Likes Mascara. Thank you so much for being interested in this particular video in this series. So as you can tell, this is my blush roulette. I'll explain what that means, but I've realized that this is my favorite part of my makeup project / YouTube channel right now. And I will explain why. I have so many different projects going on. I've got Project Pan, Lipstick Project Pan, Plan to Pan series. I'm on a no-buy, all this stuff going on. But my favorite part of what I've decided to do with my makeup collection this year is this blush roulette. So this is the second video in this series. If you have not watched the first, watch it here because that is the introduction. But essentially, the reason for doing all this is I have too many blushes, and more to the point, I have too many blushes that I do not reach for, that I never use. And I wanted to do something about that because I've been a conscious consumer for a while now, and that doesn't just pertain to what I'm bringing into my collection, but it also has to do with taking a real close look at what I have in my collection and making sure that I am using everything and enjoying what I am using. So I decided that this year, each month I would select a different blush and I would focus on that blush for the entire month. Now I have 12 powder blushes, each one gets 1 month, it works out. This is not exclusively using that blush for that month. If there's a different blush that I want to use that is not in the project, that's fine. If it's a special occasion or I just have a craving, totally cool. I also use other blushes because I generally do 2 blushes per day. I will have a cream blush and then a powder blush, and cream blushes are not included in this project. So I have a bit more free reign with my cream blushes. But yeah, essentially in today's video, I will recap how the past few months have gone. I will talk about the blushes that were my focus blushes for each of those months and how my relationship with it changed, if I fell back in love with any of them, if I realized I did not like them and wanted to declutter. And then I will talk about the next few blushes that I will be using in this blush roulette for the next few months. So let's just get into it. I also do have a little bit of an announcement, completely unrelated to makeup, but I'll give that at the end of the video. It pertains to these beautiful flowers that we've got in the background here. Okay, so I have been loving this blush roulette because it has actually enabled me to declutter blushes that I do not love. For whatever reason, I really struggle with decluttering products even if I don't use them, and so I need to give myself assignments or projects in order to decide to declutter those things. So basically, unless I'm focusing specifically on a product, I'm not going to be thinking in depth about the fact that I should declutter it. And so I've been doing a lot of fake expiration dates for myself because of this. So if there's a product that I'm not loving, then I'll tell myself, okay, you have until the end of the month or the end of next month, and then after that point you can declutter it. So that's kind of what I'm doing with these blushes as well. And of the 3 blushes that I focused on for the first 3 months of the year, I am decluttering 2 of them, which is a pretty good ratio, I think. So let's start at the beginning. It is now early April while I'm filming this, so I have had the 4th blush in this roulette for a little bit now, about a week, and so I will talk a bit about that, but obviously I still have a few more weeks to get more use out of that blush. So this is the NYX blush in Bourgeois Pig. This was my January focus blush, and it gets hard pan really easily. So basically that means there's just buildup of oil on the blush surface, and I've removed it with tape, I've scraped it off. It just keeps coming back. It's hot pink color, and it's really not it's just not pigmented enough because of this buildup, and I cannot fix the problem. And I don't love hot pink blush, but it definitely does have its place. But I have other hot pink blushes that I like better, that are a better formula. So I decided to declutter this. I've had it for a very, very long time, and I just somehow was never able to declutter it before. So the first blush of the year was leaving my collection. Great sign for the future months. So that was the easiest declutter, and I think I knew that I was going to declutter it because I put it first. The way that I organized this was I put my least favorite blushes at the beginning of the year to sort of get those out of the way. I didn't think that I would actually be able to declutter them, but yeah, let's talk about that. So the second blush, my February blush, is actually a palette. This is the Tarte Hamptons Weekender Contour Palette. This has been sort of haunting my videos that are about products I should be using more, because I so rarely reach for it. But I don't like this product, and even though it's like nice, it's expensive, it's high end, it's just not for me. It's so powdery, and look at that highlight. It's like weirdly, there's like bubbles, it's kind of chunky, like it's very strange. I will swatch it for you. Super powdery and super pigmented, but being super pigmented isn't good when it's a powdery product, you know? Like the blush adds so much texture, it really enhances texture. Sorry, the highlight. The blush is a bit too dark for me, and you can see that powdery formula. Did not like the bronzer either, so this was just not for me. I did use it all month. I wasn't just focusing on the blush. I was using all three of them, and I was not having a good time because I have other face palettes. Some of the palettes I like one shade or 2 out of 4, but this one there wasn't a single one that I enjoyed. So this was a fairly easy declutter, and this was the beginning of the palette focus. So I have 3 blush palettes. The next 2 are the next ones that I focused on, but it's always harder for me to declutter high-end products, so I'm proud of myself that I was able to do that. I do need to find this a new home though, because probably someone would want it. Also, I had to change out of that thick sweater. It was too warm. I knew it wouldn't last very long. Okay, March. So I went back and forth about if I should declutter this, and for a while there I really thought that it was gonna leave my collection, but I've discovered that I really like the bronzer. Surprisingly, because I don't think I'd focused on it very much before. I more used the blushes, and you can tell which blush I got more use out of. And this one I definitely made progress on because that pan really expanded. It was not that big before. But this bronzer I'm actually still using now. Like, this is the bronzer that I'm using on the daily. I'm not using the other things in here, but that bronzer, I wish I could. I mean, I probably could remove it, because it looks like a metal pan, so I'm not sure. But anyways, I've decided to keep this for the bronzer, which doesn't make sense, but I like it enough to do that. And I know that I will never choose to reach for the other 3 in here because I just don't like them, especially with this highlight. It's not that it like enhanced texture, but it just added a layer of powder on my skin without actually highlighting. You know, it's like I was just putting a thick pressed powder like where I usually put highlight, and it wasn't a good look. So yeah, not about that highlight. These 2 blushes, I mean, I do like them, but I don't want to just like my blushes, you know? Look at that formula. So powdery. Better than the Tarte one, but still like just too much. They're okay if I use a little bit. So if I mostly used cream blush and then I just sort of topped it off with a little bit of the powder, the colors are nice, but the texture, it's not worth using them for the texture. So yeah, I learned a lot by having this in my blush roulette for 1 month, and I'm keeping it for now for the bronzer. So somewhat productive in that regard. And now it is April, so we are on my 4th blush of the year. Also, I've been updating on TikTok this blush roulette like month by month, so if you would rather have more frequent updates, you can check out the short videos that I do over there. My TikTok is just Lara Likes Mascara. So the last blush palette in my collection, and the one that I'm using now, is this Hourglass Ambient Lighting palette. The shades are Luminous Flush, Incandescent Electra, and Mood Exposure, and here are what they look like. So far what I have learned from using this for the past week is that I quite like the middle one. It's like a more a corally shade. The pinkish one is okay, it's fine, that's what I'm wearing today. This mauve one, not for me, not good. I think I just don't like mauve blush on myself. So let's do a swatch. This is pretty powdery as well, but they each do have some shimmer. And I actually like the shimmer. Like, it's not over the top, but it's like a little bit of a glow. So those are the shades there. That pink one looks so pink, eh? So the coral one that I like the most is the middle one, and then the pink one. This, honestly, I don't reach for it enough to warrant keeping it, but I also can't seem to part ways with it. Like, it's just such a beautiful palette. I like using it in flat lays and like having pictures of it. I like having it in my collection, which is such a dumb reason to keep a makeup product. You should keep a makeup product because you use it and you like the product itself. But yeah, for right now, I think I'm going to be keeping this. That's how I'm feeling. I may feel differently at the end of April, but I kind of doubt it. So I think I'm just going to focus on using the 2 shades that I like, because there's no point in using a shade that I dislike. So if I could only keep 2 of them, I would, but it's a palette, so obviously that is not possible. So those were the 4 products that were my first blush roulette focuses. So these 2 are getting decluttered, and these 2 are being kept, although there's only some of the shades in each do I like. Okay, let's move on to the blushes that I'm using for the next few months. So obviously these are not my like worst last choice blushes. Those were at the beginning of the year, but 2 of these I can definitely see myself decluttering. I'm not updating this super frequently, obviously, because I don't have enough to talk about every single month. I'm not going to take 20 minutes to talk about one blush, so I'm doing every 3 to 4 months. So I will talk about the next 3 blushes that I will be focusing on. This first one, this is getting decluttered. I'm forcing myself to do it. I have tried many times before. I will say, okay, I'm going to use this for a week or 2 weeks, and then after that I'm decluttering it, and I've never done it. I keep telling myself I'm decluttering it, but then I use it and I really like how it looks. Every time I forget how much I like it, but it's so old. The glass is gone. So this has just been like open to the elements for years. Look at it. It looks disgusting, right? But it's actually so pretty. I don't know if you're going to be able to tell, but it's got little gold glitters in it, which is unlike any other blushes. You would think that I wouldn't like little gold glitters all over my cheeks, but I actually really like how it looks. It is a hot pink blush, obviously, so I have others like that, but that glitter is what keeps me keeping this. I really, yeah, it's unique. If I had another blush with gold glitters, then I would not feel the need to hold on to this, but I like that uniqueness. But I need to get rid of it. So I am taking the next month. This will be my May blush. I'll use it, I'll enjoy it, I'll savor that time with the gold glitter, but after that, this, I'm saying goodbye. I don't have any other blushes that I was like specifically intending to declutter them after the month, but this one, I know it's time. I'm looking forward to using it, but I'm also looking forward to decluttering it. This is NYX Rose Garden, so same as this Bourjois Pig one, but obviously a different shade. Similar though, they're both bright pink, but very different formulas even, I would say. Okay, the next one is also one that I could see myself decluttering. This is the Tarte blush in Exposed. So backstory on this was the Tarte birthday gift in, was it maybe 2018? Yeah. I love the blush that was in that. It was a little mini of Party and a little lippy of birthday suit, birthday cake, something like that. And I liked those products so much that I went out and purchased a like set of Tarte products. They had like an end of the year sale. I think it was like 7 different products for $80 or $90 or something. So it was a good deal, but I'm pretty sure that I have not loved any of the products that I got in that. What I really should have done is just repurchased that precise shade of blush and that precise shade of lip, but instead I got a bunch of different products. So I was like, oh, I'll just try everything. So I should have got Party blush. Instead I got Exposed. I don't like the shade as much, and also this is a different formula than the mini, I'm pretty sure, because look, you can see that hard pan. It's like that NYX blush that I showed. It just, the other blush did not do that. I actually have it. I decided that I still wanted it, so I have another one of the mini in Party, and that one is just so much better than this one in the shade and the formula. It doesn't show up. Like nothing comes off. Maybe I should go at it with tape or like scrape it off with a brush. I really like the pattern, so I kind of don't want to do that, but if I want to use it, obviously I have to do that. So I will probably be doing that when this is my focus blush so that I can actually get some use out of it. But I am not sure that this is one that I'm going to be keeping unless it changes significantly by getting rid of the hard pan, which it might well do. But again, it might just like get the hard pan again, like this next one does. So if you have found a way to make this work, or did I just get a bad batch, let me know if you are familiar with this blush, because really not a fan. I had a lot higher hopes for these Amazonian clay blushes, but it's just that one in Party that I love. So I won't be buying any more of these, but I know people love them. Like, this is a cult favorite. And then the final blush that I will be doing in this portion, so my July blush. Wow. Yeah. This is my July blush. It is the Milani Baked Blush in Luminoso. This is another cult favorite. You can see that I have gotten it down a bit. There has been a decent amount of progress on this, but there's still a ton of product left. I think this is actually quite a big blush as well, 3.5 grams. Oh, this next one is 4. This Tarte one is 5.6. That's massive. Okay, never mind. I thought that this was a big blush, but apparently it's not. I'll wait. Okay, so maybe this is not that big a blush, but I've had this for a very long time and it's still a good one, but I think it's a bit more shimmery than I usually like to have my blushes be. It's also the coral. I don't have other corals, like straight corals. I have the window open a little bit, so if it's a bit loud, that is why. Apologies. Okay, so I'm sorry I'm so bad at swatching, but it is that shade there, so you can see it's definitely more orange than, say, that one. It's there, and it is super shimmery. It's got that like glow from within type look, but that sort of makes it better suited for a blush topper or even like a blush highlight look. I have to use a very, very small amount when I use it as like a full-on blush because it's a lot. But I haven't reached for it in a long time, so I don't even feel super familiar with it right now. Like, I can't picture what it looks like, so I need to get some more use out of it. It's probably been about a year since I reached for it. I have too many blushes that are in that situation, unfortunately. I definitely do really like this blush, but I don't reach for it enough, so I'm not sure why that is. If it's just for, I don't know, a certain time of year. Like, this is very much a spring summer blush, so that is why I wanted to prioritize this in that period of time rather than in the next chunk, which will be fall, which is wild to think about. Yeah, I am excited to find out how I feel about these blushes. Hopefully 1 or 2 of them will be decluttered by the next update, but I will have to let you know. Stay tuned on my TikTok if you want more frequent updates. If you're thinking about doing a blush roulette, highly recommend doing it. Even if you don't end up decluttering any of your blushes, at least you will get more use out of the ones that are neglected than you would otherwise. Like, even this blush, Milani Luminoso, I like it. I just don't reach for it because somehow there's always another priority or a blush that I'm panning. And so in this case, I'm not trying to pan anything. Like, that's not my focus. I'm just trying to use everything, which is kind of radical because for me, I'm always trying to pan stuff, which is good, but that means that sometimes you end up neglecting your other products. So that is part 2 of my blush roulette series. I hope you enjoyed, and definitely recommend doing it if you're trying to get use out of your products. I mean, you can do this with any part of your collection. It can be mascaras, it can be eyeshadows, whatever. I recommend doing it. Usually here I talk about a book that I've been reading lately, but I feel like I should give an update on my personal life now instead of the book thing. I know that I don't owe it to anyone, but I just wanted to share, and I feel like I will get questions about it in the future, so like might as well just, yeah, share the news early. So I feel like I'm like kind of nervous. I don't know why. I guess because it's like an announcement. Okay, so my partner and I are getting engaged. We've been together for like 8 years now, so we've obviously figured out our whole future. Like, it was never a question of if we would get married. We always were planning to. We were just waiting. Neither of us were in a rush, and also we both been in PhD programs. I mean, I still am, but now he's done. Didn't want to get married while we were still in school. I don't like that idea. So yeah, it wasn't a surprise. It's not a proposal. I'm really not into those. We just decided that now is the appropriate time to get engaged. Yeah, so we're doing a little ceremony between our 2 families. That is a tradition in Turkish culture, and I like that idea because it's much more of like a mutual decision coming together. I mean, obviously there's old-fashioned customs and whatnot, but we're just doing what works for us. It just makes more sense to me for both parties to be equally decision makers in like preparing to get married. Okay, it cut off, so I don't know what was recorded, but the whole proposal thing just has never made sense to me because it's all kind of predicated on like when the man wants to be married, like he's the one who chooses when to get engaged. And the ring thing, again, I don't know if it cut off, but what we're doing is like a ceremony, a ring exchanging ceremony. We're bringing our two families together, which is a Turkish tradition. He's Turkish, and it makes a lot of sense for me to do it that way. And at that point, we will be exchanging our wedding rings. We're not doing the thing where I wear an engagement ring because why would I be the only one to wear a ring and not him? Like, why am I? Yeah, I'm probably not explaining this well, but hopefully you understand where I'm coming from. I think a lot of what I said got cut off, but I don't think people realize that, like, you don't need to do a proposal. If that is not your scene, if that does not feel right to you, you don't need someone to propose. I think we're starting to realize that, like, with these wedding traditions, that some of them are kind of outdated, they don't feel right, like, you don't need to stick to all of them, but with engagements, people still think that there needs to be a proposal, and yeah, like, we got a lot of confused questions when we told our friends that we were getting engaged. They're like, what do you mean? What do you mean you're getting engaged? Like, you know he's proposing? I'm like, no, like, we're not doing this bullshit. Yeah, I'm still thinking about this because I'm still getting questions about it from friends and family, and I just find it kind of aggravating. And I don't mean to be derisive towards anyone else who, like, is into the whole proposal thing, but I just don't want, like, you do what you want, just don't put your assumptions on me. Thanks. And yeah, that's what we're doing. We also, these flowers behind me, so we had a pre-engagement kegger last night. We wanted to host a big rager because, again, bucking tradition, like, why do the typical engagement party? That seemed boring, so obviously we were gonna host a rager, and it was a lovely time. So I will start wearing a wedding ring soon. That is why I felt the need to, like, share, because I'm sure people are gonna ask, and I just didn't want to have to, like, respond to a bunch of comments, so I figured it was easier to talk about it in a video. So that is it for today. I will stop rambling on. If there's traditions that you don't feel like work for you and your partner, don't do it. Do what works for you if you are able to. Those are my wise words of wisdom today. But yeah, I will talk to you next week. Bye.